Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan merupakan salah satu fakultas unggulan yang menjadi bagian dari Universitas Negeri Malang, The Learning University. Memiliki 3 kampus utama di 2 kota yang berbeda. Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan dipimpin oleh dekan dan dibantu oleh 3 wakil dekan. Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan saat ini memiliki program studi, jurusan bimbingan dan konseling, jurusan teknologi pendidikan, jurusan administrasi pendidikan, jurusan pendidikan luar sekolah, jurusan kependidikan sekolah dasar dan prasekolah, jurusan pendidikan luar biasa, pendidikan yang terdidik, santun, berbudi pekerti luhur, serta berinovasi dan kreatif. Bersama FIP akan mewujudkan insan Indonesia yang cerdas dan berdaya saing. Bersama FIP, ribuan alumni pendidik telah mengabdi, menyebar di seluruh penjuru negeri. Kami percaya ketika kita menyatukan langkah bersama, saatnya menunjukkan pada dunia bahwa kita juga bisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony is going to start very soon. Please turn off your speaker on your application. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We delighted to welcome you to the sixth International Conference on Education and Technology 2020, Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Malang, Malang, Indonesia. The Honorable Rector of Universitas Negeri Malang, Dean of Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Malang, and the speakers of 6th ICET Conference 2020, Professor Hsin-Hung from National Changhua University of Education, Taiwan, Professor Dr. Rohaida Binti Muhammad Saat from University of Malaya, Malaysia, Professor Anabelie Valdez, Ph.D. from Mindanao State University, Philippines, and Associate Professor Burhanuddin M.Ed, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. And also, we welcome all the presenters and participants of 6th ICET 2020. For a brief moment, we would like to invite you to sing Indonesian Anthem, Indonesia Raya, and Hymn Faculty of Education Universitas Negeri Malang.
Di sana
We would like to invite Mr. Dini Hidayatul Rahman to recite the dua. Mr. Dini Hidayatul Rahman, time is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, before starting our international conference, let's have a prayer asking our God to grace our conference and to bless all of us. For you who believe in Islam, let me guide the prayer in Islamic way. And for you who believe in other religions, please feel free to pray in your own way. على هذه النية وعلى كل نية صالحة ببركة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد صلاة تنجينا بها من جميع الأهوال والآفات وتقضي لنا بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها عندك على الدرجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات. اللهم إنا نسألك اللطف فيما جرت به المقادير. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه سيدنا ونبينا محمد عبدك ورسولك. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك عنه سيدنا ونبينا محمد عبدك ورسولك. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا وتلامذتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much for your time. Please enjoy your conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Dini Hidayatul Rahman. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to listen opening speech delivered by the Rector of Universitas Negeri Malang, Profesor Dr. Aha Rofiuddin, M.Pd.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi and good morning everyone. The dear Dean Faculty of Education Universitas Negeri Malang, Vice Dean Faculty of Education, the honorable speakers and participants on the International Conference on Education and Technology. Alhamdulillah. Praise God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His blessing. Salawat and salam me also be based upon the Prophet Muhammad and his family and friend who have praised us may receive infinite favor with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We also thanks to speakers and all the audience and all artists who have provided support in the sixth International Conference on Education and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, Welcome to the 6th International Conference on Education and Technology. This happy day, we have all proven a commitment in order to build a scientific framework in the field of the education and learning. The commitment in particular is an effort to conduct a retrospective in the field of education and learning in an effort to produce technology that can facilitate the life of the learning community. Retrospective of the field of education and learning is the reality of a method in the field of education and learning. Retrospect not only look in old theory and technologies for recycling, but also as a method to better understand the issues and trends that are emerging in the world of education and learning. Universitas Negeri Malang has institutionally used retrospects in producing life-based curriculum. This is because the reality of society life and has a philosophy of education and learning even up to the application of technology. The excellence of retrospective effort is seen by the Faculty of Education of Universitas Negeri Malang, able to answer the challenges of technology-based education for generation to come. Retrospective in the 6th International Conference on Education and Technology is a real effort in constructing how to bridge theories in education and learning with a desire to make the easier for people to learn through technology in the future. Current development indicate that the learning community is beginning to realize that educational theory and learning are not like a monolithic phenomenon. Educational and learning theory can be broken down into several very flexible attributes so that they can be learned both in design, engineering, socially, and culturally. Ladies and gentlemen, Universitas Negeri Malang has a desire to change the better life through education. We recognize that the important role of education as one of the drivers in the development of future generation. The implementation of the International Conference on Education and Technology is a tangible manifestation of Universitas Negeri Malang Committee to excelling and refer to science and technology as well as the field of education. The contribution of the International Conference on Education and Technology is a manifestation of awareness of the urgency of an evolving and constantly update educational agenda in holistic, aspirational, innovative, and disruptive way. Retrospective is the foothold of Universitas Negeri Malang to remain committed to contributing to inclusive, fair quality education for all and lifelong learning. Our view is that the reality of life is the foundation for all the joy of life and as a true sort of literacy. We recognize that evolution in a society and education has influenced the selection and use of learning theory and technology. The current effort is to lay down learning theory and technology not only as a conceptual framework, but how to connect the established educational and learning theory with technology through information processing and knowledge acquisition. So, the technology-based education is able to shift the support of future generation to become more collaborative as a whole generation. The International Conference on Education and Technology recognized the revolution from the individual to community learning, from content-based learning to process-based approaches, from isolated media to integrated use, from presentation media to interactive media, from learning setting that depend on place and time to learning everywhere, and from a fixed device to mobile device. This development fathers confirm future generation again complexities that challenge and responsibility to become active participation in the learner community. Ladies and gentlemen, Universitas Negeri Malang is committed to continue contributing even in the COVID-19 pandemic era. This commitment is a retrospective form of continued transformation. We commit not to give up and never declare defeat to pandemic conditions or other conditions of uncertainty. Our embroidery is the transformation commitment of Universitas Negeri Malang to bring education and learning center on student. The consequence of this commitment is our effort to conduct academic and non-academic activities in order to use the effective learning approach and optimize the utilization of the technology. Universitas Negeri Malang continuously conduct science and technology research as well as educational area was finding always utilized in order to have benefit for the development of science and where always specialized in order to have a benefit of the design of the well of the community. Universitas Negeri Malang has a commitment to continue contributing to the study period to perform community service oriented toward community empowerment through the application of science and technology as well as the field of education. We realize Universitas Negeri Malang need to organize an autonomous, accountable, and transparent governance system that ensure the continued quality improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, flashback to the commitment of Universitas Negeri Malang through the Faculty of Education is a retrospective of education theory and learning based over the transformative and universal as an inclusive educational challenge for all and throughout life. Humanistic retrospective on education and its development are based on human rights and dignity, social justice, protection, cultural, language, and ethnic diversity, and self responsibilities and accountabilities. We reiterate that education is a public property, fundamental and a basic human right to ensure the embodiment of other right. With the International Conference on Education and Technology, we are committed to contributing to future generation. Our contribution is that the technology-based education is expected to realize peace, tolerance, human need, and sustainability development. We recognize education as the key to achieving a full human being, the embodiment of equality and inclusion, the improvement of quality and learning outcome in the lifelong learning approach. Therefore, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sixth International Conference on Education and Technology Based Education for the Next Generation 10. I declare it open and starts. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Aharofiuddin M.Pd for the remarkable speech. We are now continuing our meeting to the next agenda. Now we would like to hear the keynote speech which will be delivered by Professor Hsin-Hung from National Changhua University of Education, Taiwan, Professor Dr. Rohaida Binti Muhammad Saat from University of Malaya, Malaysia, Professor Anabelie Valdez, Ph.D. from Mindanao State University, Philippines, and Associate Professor Burhanuddin M.Ed, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia. The keynote speech will be moderated by Dr. Made Duananda Kartika Degeng M.Pd. Time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Kiki. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Made Duananda. You may call me Nanda, and I will be your moderator for today in panel discussion. Okay, first of all, I would like to say welcome to this conference of the 6th ICET entitled Technology-Based Education for the Next Generation. The 2020 of the 6th International Conference of Education and Technology is organized by Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Malang, supported by its partners, which is held in Malang, East Java, Indonesia. This event is an international conference that discusses mainly for educational technology. Today, these topics are crucial themes and are commonly discussed in seminar forums. You know, that kind of technology-based education and next generation. Let us talk about life nowadays. With the birth of this COVID-19 global pandemic in all over the world, some call it as a new normal. Like we need to wearing masks everywhere, social distancing. Some people may think that how could we teach now? As we know in classical teaching, where the teacher and the student meet, everyone makes a physical contact, right? And that is you know, we need to make, we can make that again now. You don't need to make physical contact to make communication. As we know, technology has been developed so much, and we can make it for teaching today. The purpose of this event is to facilitate researchers, academics, and practitioners to disseminate the result of research that show how technology can help us to make our next generation learn. And that's the main thing to do. Before we start this, I would like to read the sequence of this panel discussion with me and with the keynote speakers. This discussion panel divided into 3 sessions. First is opening, the second presentation by the keynote speakers for 30 minutes for each of them, and then we go to the last session is discussion. You can show us your thought about this, and perhaps you can add something about this, so we can make a new common issue, how to teach and how to make our next generation learn. And now, here are the CVs of our keynote speakers today. Okay, and now, without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Hsin-Hung from Changhua. Changhua. Hello?
Hello, yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, Professor Hsin-Hung will be our first keynote speakers for today. Please.
So how much time do I have?
30 minutes, top.
30 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is it the time to get started? Yes?
Yes, okay.
Let me just put it here. Let me check. Just hold on a second.
That's fine.
Just hold on a second. Oops. Oops. Just check. Oops. Can you see this?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Distinguished guests from the 6 ICET keynote speakers, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have a speech at at 6th ICET. My topic of the presentation here is an effective tool to assess students' satisfaction, an introduction of importance performance analysis and its applications. And here is a brief introduction of myself. Currently, I'm a professor at National Changhua University of Education. And I'm currently also an adjunct professor at State University of Malang, Indonesia, an adjunct chair professor at Asia University, Taiwan. And the research areas include service quality, patient safety, culture, dementia care, and things like that. Well, there are several publications indexed in SCI as well as SSCI. Okay, the presentation here is going to be started from the introduction and then a brief review about the importance performance analysis, and finally some suggestions of using IPA. And as you can see here, Martina and James propose importance performance analysis, which can be abbreviated as IPA. Is an easily applied technique to measure attributes, importance, and performance that can be further developed to become marketing strategies in an organization. IPA is an effective tool to capture the strength and the deficiencies of an organization and enables the management to gain insight to improve the current scenario. And in here, you'll see that IPA enables the management to explore different aspects of the marketing mix and try to deploy resources more effectively in accordance with the identified strength and the deficiencies. In general, IPA can be used to identify customer needs first and then try to allow the management to reallocate resources more effectively in order to relentlessly improve the performance for customers. So I just move on. Do you need to translate it? Mohd, do you need to translate it?
No.
Oh no, so
No.
I just simply move on.
Yes.
Okay. In here, you can see that IPA has been widely applied in healthcare areas. For instance, you can see that it can be applied to examine the perceptions of patients and the management of healthcare centers. It also can be used to evaluate the service quality in orthopedic department of a hospital. And it can be applied to identify patients' need in psychology services. And it also can be applied to evaluate patients' attitude and perceptions toward the use of telehealth services. Moreover, IPA can be used in education. For instance, in here, you can see that it can be applied to evaluate the effectiveness of instructors and settings in adult education by identifying the relative importance of factors, which will affect students' preferences and the degree to which a particular educational setting possesses these factors. Moreover, you can see that IPA can be used to assess student satisfaction in e-learning environment in higher education. In Russia, they also use IPA to evaluate the educational service quality in their higher education. Obviously, IPA is a very effective tool to be used to assess students' satisfaction and and try to find critical factors in education areas. And right now, I just like to have a short and a brief review about the importance performance analysis. In here, you can see that IPA is a two-dimensional matrix that uses importance as an x-axis and the performance as a y-axis to classify the items or attributes into 4 quadrants. Each respondent is asked to evaluate the importance and performance for each item by a, say, 5-point or 7-point Likert scale, ranging from strongly important or satisfaction to strongly unimportant or strongly dissatisfaction. And we can assign, the value, say, 5 to 1 or 7 to 1, depending upon the Likert scale you use. Here is an example of how you can design a questionnaire using the IPA. As you can see here, we can ask the students about the equipment and say that is the equipment easy to access. Then each student is required to evaluate the importance of easy access from very high to say very low. Besides, each student needs to evaluate the performance, which is the satisfaction from the very satisfactory to very unsatisfactory. Okay. Then we just need to know how can we construct an IPA plot. As you can see here, there are 4 major steps. The first step is to compute the average value of importance for each question. And then after that, we just calculate the grand average of these averages. The grand average can then be the line parallel to the x-axis to separate the space into a half. And then the second step is to compute the average value of performance for each question. After that, we also calculate the grand average of these average values. The grand average in step 2 can be the line which is parallel to y-axis. Can be applied to separate the space into a half. So if we combine the first and the second steps, the entire space can be separated into 4 parts. And then we can plot each point by a pair of values, including the importance and the performance. In practice, each point is going to be placed in one of the 4 quadrants. So here is an example of how we can construct an IPA plot. For instance, you can see here there are 21 question items. So for each question, we just need to compute the average for the importance as well as the average for the performance value. So in here, you are going to see there are 21 pairs of values in terms of importance and the performance. And then after that, we also need to compute the grand average. For instance, you can see that the grand average of importance value is 4.2287. The value comes from the average value of from 4.1250 to 4.2589. We just calculate the average, then we can have the grand average of importance. And by the similar token, we can also receive the grand average of performance value, which is 3.5 373. The value comes from the average of from 3.5490 to 3.5882. We just calculate the average of these 21 questions. And then in here, you can see that if we have the grand average of importance value, you can see 4.22, and then we are going to have, and then we are going to have a then we are going to have a line which is parallel to the y-axis, which is very close to 4.25, and then we can have a line to separate the space into a half. And then we go back here, we can see that the performance value here is 3.53. So we can construct a line which is parallel to the importance. As you can see here, the line is very close to 3.55. After that, the entire space can be categorized into 4 parts. And right now, how can we plot these 21 points into the IPA? For instance, we can see the question item 1, we have an importance value of 4.1250, as well as the performance value of 3.5490. So we just check the value and then have the dot placed. So you can see here the question number 1 is here. The importance value here you can see is 4.1250. Well, this one is probably 1 should be here. So there is some kind of mistake here. And then the performance here you can see is 3.54. So probably roughly question item 1 is in here. And then we can have 21 points allocated in these 4 quadrants. After that, we can try to understand each question item's managerial meanings. In here, you'll see that quadrant 1, which has the high importance and the high performance is that keep up the good work, which can be considered as the competitive advantage or the major strength. In quadrant 1, you can see this area is the quadrant 1, which can be considered as the major strength. Okay, let's go to the quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is here, this area. So you can see that the importance is relatively low. However, the performance is high. Under such circumstances, it just shows that the points in quadrant 2 are the minor advantage. It is suggests that we just don't put too many resources on the items located in quadrant 2. And speaking of the quadrant 3, which can be considered as the low priority. So in here, we can see that the points located in here is the low priority. This area is the quadrant 3. The quadrant 3 here has the characteristics of low importance as well as low performance. So the points of falling in quadrant 3 can be viewed as the lower disadvantages or so-called the lower deficiencies. If we have a lot of resources. And if we can improve the major deficiencies first, and then if we have the enough resources, we can focus on the service. We can focus on the question items in quadrant 3. And right now we go to the quadrant 4. It says that concentrate here. The points falling in quadrant 4 can be viewed as the major deficiencies. So if we go back to the IPA plot, we can see that the quadrant 4 is here. The quadrant 4 is here. So the quadrant 4 has the characteristics of high importance but low performance. Obviously, the points falling in this area are the major deficiencies. Obviously, management or the university officials should try to improve the deficiencies immediately. So in here, if we try to have a figure, just try to show the relationship of the quadrant, from the quadrant 1 to the quadrant 4, you can see here the right corner here, the above right corner is the quadrant 1, which can be called keep up the good work, which is the major advantage. The second quadrant is the possible overkill, which indicates that you just don't need to put too many resources on the items in quadrant 2. In quadrant 3, which can be called low priority, which is the lower deficiencies. Finally, on the right corner, you can see that concentrate here. As I said, the items located in quadrant 4 can be viewed as the major deficiencies. Okay, let's move on to the suggestions of using importance performance analysis. And as I said earlier, the purpose of using IPA is to classify attributes into 4 quadrants, such that each attribute is going to have its own explanations. And we also need to use different type of scheme to resolve the problems. And in order to resolve the problems, attributes should be meaningful to represent the actual problems. And in here, you can see that IPA can be applied along with some so-called models. For instance, in here, IPA can be applied along with the circle model. The circle model was proposed by Parasuraman et al. In 1988. And there are lots of studies that try to combine IPA and circle model in some areas. For instance, this combination has been used in medical service quality in orthopedic department of a hospital in Taiwan. And the model has been applied to evaluate telehealth service and then try to identify the major strength of the telehealth services as well as the deficiencies identified by the telehealth services processes. Moreover, in Russia, they also use the combination of IPA and circle model to evaluate educational service quality in their higher education. In other words, IPA can be combined with other questionnaires in practice. In addition to the circle model and the other questionnaires, I think IPA can be accompanied with other tools, such as quality function deployment, proposed by the Japanese scholars, and the Kano model also proposed by Professor Kano. And how can we use the quality function deployment after the IPA? In here, you can see that we can use the IPA to find the deficiencies, say in medical services. And then we can use quality function deployment to address the deficiencies from the managerial viewpoints. Obviously, when we identify the deficiencies, we just need to come up with some approaches to address the deficiencies. Under such circumstances, quality function deployment is a very effective system tool to resolve the problem. And right now, how can the Kano model can be applied after the IPA? Probably you can say that Kano model can be applied to capture customer perceptions, while IPA is conducted to provide managerial insights. So if we want to combine these two together, how can we perform that? In here, you can see that if we want to apply Kano model, we just first design the questionnaire like here. We just put the items here. For instance, if we want to know quick maintenance service, and then we can ask the respondent, how do you feel if the particular service was presented? And then we also ask the respondent, how do you feel if this particular service was not here? And then each respondent has 5 options from, say here, the delight, expect it and like it, no feeling, live with it, do not like it. So each respondent is going to have a pair of answers when a particular service item is present or is not present. And after that, we can use the Kano's interpretation table, just try to translate the customer needs into different types of the customer needs. For instance, here, if we have, when we have an answer from here, we just look at here. If a person says that, well, if a particular service item is present, he has no such kind of feeling, and then we just choose no feeling here. And if the feature was not here, and if the respondent say, I don't like it, I do not like it, then we just choose absent question response, and then here do not like it. So we have no feeling here, and then we do not like it here. So we can find this type of service quality is defined by the as the must be quality. Obviously, if you don't provide this type of service quality to the respondent, he or she is going to be angry. So I think probably we can combine IPA and the Kano model together in order to identify the customer needs from the psychological areas. So if we try to combine IPA and the Kano model together, and then we can come up with the figure here. In quadrant 1, keep up the good work. As I said earlier, the items located in quadrant 1 are the major strength. However, there are 5 different types of major strength, such as attractive quality, one-dimensional quality, must-be quality, indifferent quality, and reverse quality. So we can provide different schemes to attack or to provide the service items to a particular group of customers. Okay, the suggestions number 4 here. One final thought about using IPA. And frankly speaking, based upon my past experience, I just think that if we can conduct and collect longitudinal data, the study is going to be rich. Why? Why? Because, as you know, if we can have a lot of data from time to time, and then we can observe the trends, from time to time, and we can identify which critical factors are going to be existed from time to time. If the critical factors can be found in each year, and then we can say that these critical factors are more critical than the other critical factors. However, if the critical factors only appear in, say, 1 or 2 out of 7 or 8 years, these critical factors probably are critical to a particular 1 or 2 years. However, from a much longer time horizon, these critical factors are not going to be critical. So I just think that if possible, we can use IPA along with the longitudinal data. It's the end of my presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor Hsin-Hung. That was really good presentation. Let us continue for the second keynote speaker.
Okay, I will just.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Just let everybody knows that the discussion will be held in the last of the session. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now we are going to the second keynote speaker, which is Professor Dr. Rohaida Binti Mohd Saat from Malaysia.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Let me try share my screen dulu, just in case anything wrong.
Okay.
Okay, let me. How do I do this? Is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, first of all, Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Ta'ala Wabarakatuh, and everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the secretariat of this conference. This is the 6th International Conference on Education and Technology. I think this is my 3rd involvement, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you to Professor Dr. Bambang Budi Wiono, the Dean of Faculty of Education, University of Malang, for inviting me to be one of the keynote speakers. I'm not sure whether the rector is still around to listen to this to this presentation, but if he's around, menjemput saya. And also, last but not least, Dr. Made, they call it Made?
Yes.
Duan Nanda, for being the moderator. Okay. So let me start. This is, well, my connection. Okay, can hear me because I'll be getting alerts that saying my connection is not that good, but you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So although this invitation was given to me way before the COVID, so as we go along, I just wondering what do I talk about for this conference. So the last few weeks, I've decided this is my title, to be or not to be, the dilemmas in technology-based education. Yeah, but I hope that at least this my presentation will create some discussions among us later. Okay. First of all, let me give a bit of history of my university, because usually we are asked to promote our university. As we know, University of Malaya or University Malaya was first started as the King Edward VII College of Medicine, which was founded in 1905 to train Malaysian doctors. Okay. And it was situated, and later it became as University of Malaya in Singapore. Okay. Then in 1959, we had the University of Malaya had moved to the Kuala Lumpur campus. Yeah. So this is the history where we from 1905 to 1962. While later we have moved to Kuala Lumpur, and there is a separation between University of Singapore, which is now known as National University of Singapore, and University of Malaya. We always say that NUS is our sister. Okay. And so now the profile, we have 13 faculties at the moment, 2 academies, 3 centers and 3 institutes. We have more than 16,000 undergraduate students, more than 10,000 postgraduate students, and in total we have about 26,000 students, and we offer over 200 academic programs. As for the international student, we have over 3,500 international students for over 90 countries. So as we are a broad-based research intensive university, where I did mention that we have 13 faculties, where Faculty of Education is one of the faculty, one of the 13 faculties. Yeah. And at the moment, this is our current ranking. The QS World Ranking, we are at the moment 59th. And QS ranking for Asia is 13. THE for Asia is 43. And UR Green Metric is 34. Yeah? And we hope that we can keep the ranking, but frankly speaking, it's not that easy, because with the current situation, with the pandemic and also the economy, we are facing economy crisis at the moment. So research grants is quite scarce, and that's the reason why it's quite difficult to maintain the rank, the ranking where we are now. So for ranking for all subjects, I can say for my faculty, we are under the rank 51 to 100, where we are here, okay, under the social sciences and management. Okay, that's about University of Malaya. Okay, as for my presentation, this is my outline of my presentation. I'll be talking a bit on the past practices, especially in the context of technology-based education, and then the shift to online or the remote teaching and learning. And when we shift to that mode, there are challenges faced during the shift. And based on these challenges, there are a lot of lessons learned from this shift. And here, I would like to end my presentation for us to think about how do we move forward, especially in the era where we say digital, but there are a lot of lessons learned when we talk about the shift to remote, to online or to remote teaching and learning. Okay, for the past practices, okay, we know that we are encouraged to use technology in our teaching and learning, because when we talk about technology in the teaching and learning, we usually we talk about how we use technology, what kind of technology to be used in teaching and learning, and it has been advocated ever since the 1900s, right? And people have been giving us that has showing that the superiority of the use of technology, for example, how technology has enhanced achievement in among students, how technology have motivated students into learning, and how technology have made teaching and learning fun for the students. So those are the advantages of using technology, and no one can deny that it is a good tool, as long as we said it is a tool, and a tool that we can be used in our teaching and learning. Okay, and with the current development in this digital era, these are the buzzwords, I would say. People are talking the Industrial Revolution 4.0. When we talk about Industrial Revolution 4.0, excuse me, they always talk about the buzzwords, for example, Internet of Things. Okay, Internet of Things, where actually what they are trying to do is embedding electronics into objects such as well, I've read people have put gadgets into their refrigerator, for example, so by embedding such electronics into their machines and making the machine smart. For example, I did read about the refrigerator, that when we are in a supermarket, for example, we are not sure whether there's any milk available in the refrigerator. But with the Internet of Things, we can communicate with our refrigerator and saying that, well, the milk supply is very low, so it's about time to buy. So that's what Internet of the use of Internet of Things. I would say I would give an example, giving that example. Okay, then artificial intelligence. This is also not new, but it's more important in this era, where people actually trying to make imitation of human intelligence by a software program. For example, the software by the developed by the medical team and the engineering team, for example. So through this software, we can use this software to diagnose ourselves on certain diseases. Okay, that's the use of AI. Then we have the robotics. Okay, certain AI component can go into the robotics. I think robotics has been quite a while, and now it has been an integral part of the importance of industry, including surgery, manufacturing, food services, and space. Then we talk about augmented reality, virtual reality. This is again something that making something that is real, although it's not real. Okay, and previously is a lot being used in the gaming industry. So I can see that in education we can have the immersive lesson that is trying to make learning fun and engaging with our students, and and it is predicted that robotics and VR to be adopted widely in the education sector. Then they also talk about machine learning, deep learning, where machine learning comes from big data analytics, where based on this big data captured by the system, so that we can learn better about a certain scenario. Okay, so that's among those of the buzzwords. And with all this coming technology within this IR 4.0, we as educationists, we need to see how do we use them in education and how do we select them. Okay, and it is still we are still unsure. I still remember in my 2 years back, I did share with in this conference about the use of drone in technology. Even now, I can for me personally, I would say I can't really say that it has made an impact into the education sector, the use of drone. Okay, so to encourage teachers to use this technology, there are all higher institutions, especially in the teacher training, has numerous initiatives. Okay, the ministry have numerous initiatives to encourage teachers to use technology. So these are a few initiatives that I have I've thought about. That is by providing training, be it pre-service training or in-service training, or how do we go about integrating technology in our lessons. And then some government, in fact, and provide hardware and software to make sure to encourage our teachers to use technology in their classroom. And some have gone beyond by rewarding through KPIs and monetary rewards to the teachers or even lecturers to use technology in their teaching and learning, and to make technology more explicit. They even integrate components of where and when to use technology into the curriculum. So this will help teachers to know where and when to best use the technology. But based on research, we can say that some of us are complacent what we do. Okay, although no matter the initiatives given to us, the findings on research done, the use of the advantages of the use of technology in a classroom has showed very positive findings. But we are, many of us are complacent what we do, and sometimes even there are challenges that the teachers face or we face. For example, challenges of time. They say that it involves a lot of time. I'm sure we are in the area of Southeast Asia. We are so much into examination based, right? So we talk about I have to finish the syllabus and so forth. So what we hope that the use of technology is not happening as what we hope to be. Okay, and but we need to move forward because technology is here to stay, and we are moving very fast towards towards the more sophisticated. Okay, so we in the education sector should not be left behind. However, with the COVID outbreak in late 2019, right? It's really a shock for all of us, I'm sure, where schools and other educational institutions were forced to close. Okay, so what the teachers, some of the teachers whom I was saying that they are very complacent, and I'm not saying all teachers, but there are majority of the teachers or educators, even for myself, sometimes I find it difficult, to adopt a technology. But with this outbreak, we are forced to use to shift our teaching and learning to online or remote teaching and learning. Okay, so when we talk about remote teaching and learning, of course it involves technology, right? So we can see that our teachers, even my colleagues, we use suddenly we are the user of the online platforms such as what we are using today, Zoom, right? Zoom. Some of us use Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and other online platforms to conduct our lessons. And then since there are other challenges, some of us have adopted to use multiple channels to accommodate our learners. So, for example, the use of even like today, I'm here using the Zoom, but on the other end, I have the secretariat communicating with me using WhatsApp, right? So we use various channels to communicate, which is so that shows that we cannot depend on one platform. Okay, and some use pre-recorded lectures. Suddenly we become an actress. Okay, in our own to deliver our lessons. Okay, and then and some discipline which require that we go to the labs, but we are unable to go to the lab, so we have to integrate virtual labs or field trips. So we have been very innovative in that sense. Okay, so this on seeing the positive side of this outbreak is that we are forced to use technology in our teaching and learning. Okay, but definitely there are challenges, as I am trying to as I categorize some of the challenges. Okay, so the first category I would talk about is on the hardware and the infrastructure. Okay, this is I'm sharing what we are facing here in Malaysia. That is, one is the connectivity, where not all students are able to be connected due to the infrastructure or the the availability of the availability of the connectivity, the availability of the network, right? So in the remote area, they have difficulty. I'm sure you have you have come across to some of the video that viral, that some of our students are climbing trees to get the best connection. So things happen. Okay, things happen, and not everything is rosy and nice. Okay, and then we have also stories about some of our students need to share their laptops, their desktops, because in a family there's only one is available for them. So let's say if they have 4 siblings and everybody is going online, for example, how do we cater for that? Okay, so equipment is the availability of the equipment, and then the probably I touch a bit, although it's not talking about the infrastructure, but in a family where they are living in a very small houses, like in flats and small apartments, for example, where there's no conducive environment for them to really follow the lesson online. So with probably their younger siblings, making noises and so forth, that also has to be, that also affected their learning through this online kind of mode. Okay. Probably, and then then comes the readiness. I would talk about teachers' readiness, students' readiness, and even the parents or the guardians' readiness. Okay, when I talk about teachers' readiness, okay, not all teachers are ready to adopt this this shift. Okay, because I've seen among even when I was when we had the MCO, movement control order, where we are not allowed to go out. All the my grandchildren were in the house, and they are as young as 7 years old. So I can see that how the online learning is going on, and one of the teachers, they felt they are not ready at all. Where all they did was during the online class, they just give an electronic e-book to the child, and expecting a 7-year-old student to read on his own. That's that defeats the purpose. Okay, so teachers here, they are not creative enough. Yeah, although some are very creative, but there are some teachers are still not ready, as I mentioned earlier, that although the use of technology has been advocated ever since the 1900s, but teachers have been postponing and giving excuses for not using, and these are the kind of teachers that are not ready to use technology in their teaching and learning. On the other hand, for students readiness, some students also need to be ready to use this technology, because they expect the online class to be as if it is the same as what is in the classroom. They do not understand that online classes, there are certain components that you use face-to-face, or we call it synchronous communication, and certain part is asynchronous communication, where there are tasks for them to do. If let's say if you are very familiar with flipped classroom, for example, so they need to do all these tasks first, and then and discuss it later with their teachers. Okay. So they are not ready for such changes, and they expect the teachers to give they expect teachers to be the knowledge giver, and they are, on the other hand, are the receiver. So that kind of mentality is still exists. Okay. As for parents and guardians, they have a role to play. Okay, when the students are at home, they need to assist their children to with the equipments, how to do the setting up, how to become a facilitator if a task is given by the teachers to their students. Okay. And so teachers and guardians too need to be trained, I guess. Later, probably when we have the time, probably we can come up with some guidelines for the parents of what they need to do during this online learning. Okay. And also there is, I put here as the demand of this discipline, because the nature of the body of knowledge, for example, the scientific base knowledge that requires lab works, for example, that requires, like for example, for us in the education sector, we need to train our teachers to be a good educator. So we need to see how they interact with their students, how to deliver good lessons, and so forth. This is quite challenging if it's done online. Okay, so for the scientific base, they need to be in the labs to carry out the experiments. Okay, then some need to go out to collect some specimens and so forth. That also require the students to be in the field, but this can't be done through online teaching. Okay, and then like for example, the counseling students, they need to show competence in handling in having the counseling session, and this is what we are facing the problem, where the professional body, our lembaga counselor Malaysia, requires a certain number of hours for them to be face-to-face counseling session, and this they do not allow for face-to-face online face-to-face, because they were saying that it needs to see their their behavior, the non-verbal non-verbal behavior, to to make sure that they understand the how to become a good counselor. These are some of the challenges. I'm sure there are more challenges that we face during this shift. Okay. And assessment is also an issue, because when we have an online teaching and learning process, assessment need to be done. Okay, there are a lot of issues on this assessment. That is during the exam week, and this is my experience at my university, where we do have how do we deal with cheating. Okay, but they are, like the medical faculty, they say that, well, they what they call it, they appoint certain facilitators to look about 2 or 3 students while they are doing the exams. Okay, but even they, how 100% are you sure that they are not cheating? Okay. Validity of the assessment. Okay, so this one has to do again with cheating, and also are you sure that they are they are doing it on their own, or someone else is doing for them? Then again, if let's say if it's a synchronous kind of assessment, connectivity is an issue. Okay, then privacy, definitely, that how sure that when we submit, those are coming, we are make sure that the data is protected. Okay, so yeah, so these are among the 4 areas where I feel that these are the challenges. Okay, so how do we deal with this kind of thing, right? Not only this kind of thing, but based on this scenario, what we just had, the lessons learned, right?
Excuse me?
Yes.
I think you have 5 minutes more.
Oh, okay. This is my last slide.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The lesson learned is that here we are talking. Remember my first slide? I did mention about all those IR 4.0, right? So with all the buzzword, we are talking about immersion tools and all. But on the other hand, when we had the shift, we have students who lack tools, right? Who do not have the tools, who do not have the connectivity. So how do we balance between being a very high-end technology to the very low-end technology? How do we make sure that no one is left behind if we use technology, for example? Okay, so and then not all has the right tool, right? They are still struggling, and then the support from the right people, for example, their parents, need to be we need to make them understand that they need to support their students, their children, right? And of course, we need we need our teachers to be creative in adapting this technology, not only looking at only only the one component of the technology. So with that, we have to rethink the model of how our model of technology-based education, and we need to strike a balance to suit the situation so that our students all have the equity of having good education. Okay, I think that is the last slide, and I say thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Professor Rohaida Binti Mohd Saat from Malaysia. Okay, and now shall we continue to the third speakers? He comes from Indonesia, Associate Professor Burhanuddin, M.Ed, Ph.D. Please, Mr. Burhanuddin. Okay. I'm sorry, you still mute your speakers, your microphone, Mr. Burhanuddin. I think you want to unmute first, Mr. Burhanuddin. You need to unmute the microphone. Mr. Burhanuddin. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, please, time is yours.
Bentar, saya cek dulu. Pak, ini untuk nge-share-nya gimana? Kalau nggak mau keluar. Perintah, command share-nya. Oh ini, di sini ya. Oke.
Sudah share ini Pak.
Sudah. Terus?
Sudah. Langsung PowerPoint-nya dijalan.
Gimana? Nggak ada powerpoint-nya.
PowerPoint-nya Bapak.
Ini tadi.
Oh iya. Nah, sudah.
Ini sudah kelihatan.
Sudah. Dilakukan.
Hah? Good day, everybody. Thank you very much for joining this conference. And first of all, I say thank you very much for the Dean of the School of Education, State University of Malang, and also the moderator, Mr. Mohd,
Okay.
and also the other committee members who organized this conference. I just make sure, do you all see the slide I share now? Okay, the slide?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You may continue.
Okay, this topic I took from my research at the School of Education, State University of Malang. That is the global pandemic outbreak challenge how university deliver effective online courses. The outline of this paper or this research we will discuss introduction, impact of pandemic situation on higher education, the challenge of to university, and the method, research finding, discussion, and conclusion. As we found that pandemic situation has changed the way worldwide universities in this world, how they deliver learning experience to students. Conventional teaching learning model has been shifted to e-learning based system to fit the model with such a critical condition. How students perceive the effectiveness of online courses at university need to be explored or to be studied. The topic is related with how the pandemic situation influence on higher education practice. We try to figure out ultimate chain of environment were influenced strongly by pandemic situation. It has resulted in transforming teaching and learning management from conventional to technology.
Okay, I think some troubles occur here on the
Hello?
studio. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Mr.
Still
Burhanuddin?
join us?
Okay. I think you need to... Hello? We need to reshare
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah. Can you see my slide still?
Oh, no, no. You need to reshare it.
Yeah. Sorry. The
Yes.
impact on higher education marketing, that the percentage of local and international students is predicted decreasing because of this situation. US, for example, currently has about 33.7% from Chinese country and 18.4% from India. But today, because of the situation, there is a travel restriction due to pandemic outbreak. Those students have turned back to their home countries. And how about the impact on economics? With the critical environment today, not all universities and students are able to gain effective learning model delivered through high technology-based learning models. This is actually due to less economic source of students and universities to support the online teaching and learning system. The situation actually challenge how universities manage the situation. Universities have to ensure students and all staff members are well protected while on campus and doing activities outside campus. They must employ technical measures to stop the spread of the disease on campus environment, or also they have to apply health protocols. And why we talk about the online learning in relation with this situation, especially with the pandemic crisis today, I try to highlight that there are some components or factors that we have to be
Okay, it's break again. Hello?
Okay.
Yep. You are back.
The slide I tried to share again.
Yes, okay, that's fine.
This study actually tried to see how effective online courses in pandemic situation. Yeah. And for this purpose, we tried to build a theoretical model, yeah, that there are 6 components that may be related to each other or influence, yeah, to other variable in this theoretical model. In my research, there are actually 6 components here, include like university responsibility, university readiness, and also student concern on pandemic situation. And I try to develop the hypothesis or the hypothesized structural model here that university responsibility actually influence, yeah, student acceptance on the teaching learning strategy, online teaching learning strategy, and also student motivation and student satisfaction. Yeah, all of these 3 components as or treated as the independent variable that predicted to influence or have connection on student acceptance and student motivation and student satisfaction on online teaching and learning. Yeah. There are 4 hypotheses to be tested that university responsibility has effect on student acceptance, motivation, and satisfaction. And university readiness has effect on student acceptance, motivation, and satisfaction. Yeah. And student concern, yeah, student concern on pandemic situation are also predicted to have effect on student acceptance, motivation, and satisfaction. And the 4th hypothesis here is student acceptance has an effect on student motivation. The method. The study actually employ a quantitative method with a regression design and aim to reveal how online courses perceived by students, specifically student concern on pandemic situation, on student acceptance and university readiness, responsibility, student motivation, and student satisfaction. To examine this variable, the study developed or construct the scale based on variable developed from theories and also tested using factor analysis. Yeah. Descriptive, multivariate, and path analysis were carried out to analyze data. And for this purpose, participants from 150 students were selected using companion sampling technique in responding to the survey questionnaires. Yeah. They are available and accessible on online class organized by the researcher. Result. Based on the measure of sampling adequacy, so the factor has a satisfactory result. It means that the factor analysis can be proceeded. The study successfully built and also validated 2 sets of correlated factor model to measure the specified variable. So in measuring the variable, I try to build and to develop the scale. There are 6 scales here: student acceptance, student motivation, and satisfaction. And the other set of the scale include like university responsibility, university readiness, and student concerns. Yeah. This variable and also as the factors are validated using confirmatory factor analysis and also indicated as what we call like appropriate scale, yeah, to measure the effect of student acceptance and student motivation and student satisfaction on, yeah, and also university responsibility and university readiness and student concern. So there are two sets of the measure, yeah, the measurement development, and to see how the latent variable in the model relate or maybe influence to each other, we try to test the initial path model structure here. Yeah. In the first model, that we try to follow the structure here, that university responsibility has effect on the other dependent variables, for instance, like student acceptance, student motivation, and satisfaction. And also university readiness, yeah, has effect on student acceptance and also satisfaction. And concern only influence like student acceptance and student motivation and student satisfaction. Yeah. However, yeah, when we discuss the finding based on the result of the statistic based on this analysis, actually, that based on the path analysis model, not all the components has significant effect on student acceptance and student motivation or student satisfaction. Yeah. So I try to be like the final model here. Yeah. That university responsibility only influence. Yeah. Yeah. It successfully influenced the three components here: student acceptance, student motivation, and student satisfaction. But university readiness, it's only influence student acceptance and student satisfaction. And the last variable here, student concern on pandemic situation does not have effect or direct effect on student satisfaction, because also if we try here to see that it has effect but not so significant and also very small, yeah, very weak here, only 0.04, yeah. So this is the final model, yeah. If I may say that the university responsibility here actually relate with the how, yeah, university, for instance, like manage the system online learning with full responsibility, and university readiness in terms of, for instance, like providing technical assistance and also provide the facility to the student or to the lecturer in organizing or in implementing the online learning model. And student concern, yeah, this is related with how students perceive, yeah, the pandemic situation, yeah, how they concern about the pandemic situation, yeah. When we try to check their perception, yeah, actually it does not have a strong influence on student satisfaction, and also does not influence student acceptance on the learning experience that's delivered by online, and also student motivation. Yeah, it does not have any effect. Yeah, so different with the first model here. Yeah, we try to make the theoretical model here. It means that all the variable has effect or relation with this other dependent variable. Yeah, but this is the theoretical model. However, result of the study indicates that the model, the final model, explain that only university responsibility that has effects on the three variable includes student acceptance, student motivation, and student satisfaction. And university readiness only influence student acceptance, student motivation, and student satisfaction. So student acceptance here, actually this is this relate with how student accept the model of online teaching learning, and how satisfied the student also. This is relate with this variable student motivation as the latent variable in this model. It means that university responsibility to organize this online learning actually influence, yes, very strong to student motivation in joining online learning during this pandemic situation. My conclusion, if I can maybe just make a very short statement here, that the finding at the literature that the effectiveness of online teaching learning at a university is determined by several components. These include, for instance, like technical support, include internet quota, facilities for students, student service, and staff with high commitment, right? That's the final slide, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. Burhanuddin, for the presentation. At last but not least, we are going to the fourth keynote speakers. Okay, I got some bad news and good news, but we don't know yet. Okay, the bad news is something happened in Philippines. Bad weather, I think that. So it's broke the connection for this Zoom meeting from Professor Anabelie. So I don't know if she are here now. The last news I got. Okay.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
I'm here.
Professor Anabelie. Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to request you to play my recorded video because our internet connection here is very unstable. So I don't want my presentation to be oftentimes cut off. So I already sent to Miss Desiree yesterday the video, recorded video.
Okay.
For you to play.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will just listen.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Anabelie. Okay, we can play the video now.
Good day to each other. Many of us here, if not all, don't know for sure what education look like in the future. The COVID-19 pandemic brought drastic change to our educational system and even in our daily lives. But one thing that I am sure we have to adopt and evolve. For educators and teachers alike, we must make a pedagogical decisions every day, thinking and planning what educational materials and tools are we going to use to facilitate effective and efficient teaching learning experiences among us and among our learners. So today, I am sharing with you some basic but essential teaching approaches for the new normal. Teaching approaches for the new normal. So in this lecture, I would like to share with you at least 3 topic outlines. So we're going to talk about the different teaching approaches, which is very appropriate in our condition today or our situation now, which is the new normal, and how to facilitate the learning effectively, as well as how to use the technology wisely. If we're going to ask ourselves, what are the common teaching approaches in the new normal? Basically, in this lecture, I will introduce only two, which I believe these two approaches are also very familiar and common among us. So we're going to talk about the blended approach or the so-called hybrid approach, and the second one is the flexible approach. Blended approach or the so-called hybrid approach is a combination of traditional and non-traditional methodologies such as digital technology, using multiple teaching methods to help students learn more effectively and improve the quality of the teaching learning process. In this approach, the teacher will going to use different teaching strategies in order to meet the different learning styles of the students, which is not very new to us. So usually we are already doing this kind of approach. So these are the most common and effective blended learning models. We can do rotational, we can do flex, we can do flipped classroom, we can do also a la carte, or we can do enriched virtual. So actually there are many blended learning approaches and models, but in this case, I will only introduce at least 5. Now, how can we do rotational model? So in this model, the students are allowed to rotate through different modes of learning. Rotation might be done through station rotation, lab rotation, or whole group rotation. Then, in doing this, the teacher should do the following for the students to experience a variety of instructional approaches, as well as to provide a level of autonomy among students. So, doing that, the teachers could introduce or provide an activity incorporating the teacher-led instruction, peer review, and individual activity. Then, the next model is the flex model. Flex model is an approach wherein the students do their learning mostly online, but usually it is still done at the school under the supervision of the teachers. So we all know that online teaching or online learning is the backbone of student learning as of this day, considering that we are now the so-called new normal because of this pandemic. And even doing that, still the teachers should provide the students different learning activities which will be done by the students offline, whether it is done at home or any place they are going to work out in which they are very much excited, or in which they are willing to do in different places that can motivate them to learn. Then the students can move individually, customize, fluid schedule among learning modalities. So in other words, the students have a greater privilege when and how they're going to work out their learning activities. Then, the teacher in doing this should stay on site, and the students learn mostly on the different learning activities still in the school, but except for many or any homework assignments which should be done at home. Then, the teacher should provide face-to-face to support the needs of the students in a flexible manner, whether through activities by small group, instruction, group projects, or individual tutoring. So the teacher in this model should meet the needs of a variety of formal and informal learning processes, which can be done in school or through an organization or even homeschooling. The third model is the flipped classroom. This flipped classroom is mostly widely known version of blended learning. Why? In this situation, the students are introduced to material via online instruction outside the classroom. Then, the students can spend their time in class reviewing, applying, and practicing material they were introduced to at home. So they can do their work at home and they can receive the instructional materials via online. But the challenge for the teacher is that the teacher should make sure that all students have online access at home, as well as parental support and individual motivation to complete the online instruction on their own time, considering that there is no often or face-to-face contact from time to time by the teacher, so the parents should help the students or their children in doing their homework or assignment at home. The next model is the a la carte. So this model, the students will do their learning entirely online with an online instructor. So this requires no face-to-face contact. But the teacher shall make sure that all students have online access and strong internet connectivity. Otherwise, the transfer of learning from teacher to the students is ineffective if the internet connection is not so strong. The next model is enriched virtual. So in this model, this is also commonly known as remote blended learning. Then, doing this, the students receive one-on-one sessions with their instructor, and the students will focus on completing online coursework while only meeting with the teacher intermittently as needed. So meaning to say the work is mostly done by the students alone or with the help of their friends and parents, and the teacher will only facilitate when the students need their support or need their further discussion. Then, the teacher should ensure that the class sitting is in a flip sitting. So this approach actually is closely similar to the flipped classroom model, but it differs slightly since students wouldn't see or work with learning from a teacher on a daily basis face-to-face. So in this approach, the face-to-face interaction is very limited because the students will only talk to their teacher, go to their teacher as the needs arise. Maybe it is a consultation, probably. So, Braystoffer introduced 7 blended learning strategies. According to him, we can use multiple types of instructional materials, incorporate technology for reinforcement. Of course, we are doing already this one. Then, try new teaching techniques, keep our traditional methods as well, vary our assessment, mix up a group work style, so the students will work together with different learning style, different learning activities, and even trying a digital curriculum. So actually some of this, or maybe all of this blended learning strategy, this top 7, we are already using at this time or even before this pandemic. So the second approach that I would like to share is the flexible approach. So flexible approach is allow the flexibility of time, place, content, requirements, and pedagogies and resources, including but not solely focus on the use of technology. So flexibility in probably anything that could enrich the teaching and learning process and depending upon the situation and the needs arise. Then, flexible approach allow the educators or the teachers create different learning environments. Then, the educators or the teachers increase opportunities and options available to learners and give them greater control over their learning through a variety of learning modes and interaction. So this is actually a learner-centered approach, which we are already doing this one. But for this time of pandemic, the flexibility is much more maximized compared during this time that there is no pandemic. Then these are some strategies that allows greater flexibility according to some experts. First, we can do digital media-based assignments or iClicker and online quizzes, a librarian-created tutorial, and of course, we are going to make sure that there is a copyright-cleared readings. We can also use calibrated peer review as formative feedback, so the students will be able to critique or comments the work of their classmates. Or even we can have individual or group blogs. Then, we can also do these following activities: action idea list, a case study, or a scenario, or a simulation activity, demonstration, of course, a game, so wherein this game is very interactive activity, then peer learning, skills practice, role play, and time spans. So there are many strategies that allows greater flexibility which we can work on. But this is some of the common and very effective strategy that have a greater flexibility which we are going to be used in this condition that we have now. But how? How to facilitate teaching, learning effectively in the new normal? So basically, we are just going to tackle the two, which is very also familiar among us. So under this new normal condition, wherein no or limited face-to-face teaching and learning scenario is allowed, facilitating the teaching learning process shall be done either synchronous teaching learning technique or asynchronous teaching learning technique. Or we can combine both as anytime or as needed. Okay, so the synchronous teaching learning technique requires attendance at scheduled meetings or lectures. The students attend the class as scheduled simultaneously. So meaning the teacher will introduce, discuss the lesson at one time and the students are all present via online and other platform. Then, the teacher should provide instruction, discussions, and forum to students at the same time via online, whether you can use Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, and other social media. These are some of the examples which is being used in asynchronous learning through online. So we can have our scheduled quizzes and tests, scheduled chat room time for students to share ideas, scheduled video conferences or group phone calls, then live stream lectures or demonstration. Why is scheduled? So it is because the scheduling these things is very important so that the students will know advance when are you going to conduct these following activities to make sure that all students are available online. Then the second technique is asynchronous. So this technique allows the instructor and students to interact on their own schedule. So they have freedom when and where or how they're going to attend your class. Allows flexibility and easily accommodate different learning styles at their own pace. Then allow also location independent learning. So the students can do their learning activities anywhere, anytime, or any place as they want. But the teacher should provide activities and learning tools for students. So how the teacher will provide those activities? So you can use using email, Google Classroom, and other LMS in sending or giving those instructional materials or learning materials which to be done by your students. So you can have your recorded presentation such as slideshows and videos, discussion boards, social media groups, collaborative documents in the cloud, learning modules, workbook and worksheets, and many more that can be used to facilitate effective and efficient teaching and learning process, and the interaction of the students and the teachers is very efficient and very interactive. Okay. So doing those technique, whether we can have synchronous, asynchronous, or both, it is very important for us educators or teachers to have our learning plan, for us to be well guided, and even the supervisor or anyone that will observe our class can easily monitor our activities, and even we can also monitor the learning progress of our students if we have a very good teaching learning plan. So I will going to share with you my teaching learning plan in one of my subjects. So actually I have only 5 subtopic. We have this first column is the topic, then the time allotment, the learning tools that I am going to use, then the teaching approaches, and as well as the assessment tools. So doing this, we are now have very good guidelines in what are we going to do in our class. Okay, so But in doing this, it is also very important that we have to use technology wisely, particularly this distance learning that we are going to apply most of the time of this teaching process due to the pandemic that we are facing. So in doing that, we have to choose our online teaching platform wisely by making sure that it is accessible, equitable, communicative, monitorable, and sustainable. If these things is not secured, maybe our teaching is not effective, not deliverable, and the learning process also will suffer. In other words, if we cannot make sure that our platform or online teaching platform is not accessible, equitable, communicative, monitorable, sustainable, then our teaching is a failure. So maybe we can go back to the traditional method, which is the printed materials. So in delivering engaging online teaching, some experts suggested on these multiple modes. So here are some options, but you can also make your own authentically. First, you have to schedule live classes via Zoom or Skype. Very common. Video lectures, also common. Sit activities with gamified online learning tools. Start a class blog. Create specific places for different learning resources. Create a flexible timetable. Set weekly goals and target. Engage with students daily. Let your students talk to each other. So this is one way of communicating your students from time to time, and even sharing experiences. Then keep the relationship with your students strong. So you can do welcoming class video, recording individual student feedback, check in with students who go a wall, share your own experiences, and keep the tone personable. And the last one is we have to be kind to ourselves also. So we have to set a schedule when are we going to communicate and interact with our students from time to time, so that we can also have our time for ourselves. So thank you very much. I hope that you learned something from this lecture. So keep safe, everyone, always.
Okay, thank you, Professor Anabelie Valdez. Okay, shall we now continue for the discussion session? I think we got some question here. Miss Professor Hsin-Hung, are you there? Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Let me check some of them. And Professor Dr. Rohaida Binti, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Professor Anabelie, okay, you are there. And Associate Professor Burhanuddin, are you still there? Hello, Mr. Burhanuddin, are you there? We are now going to open the discussion session. Okay, I'm sure he'll following. Okay, from the Q&A tab on the Zoom, I got one question from Mingjen Chiu. Okay, perhaps this question is for Professor Anabelie. Okay, what tools will be the speaker suggest for integrating synchronous and asynchronous teaching learning activities result? That is for Professor Anabelie. Perhaps you can answer it directly. Hello. Oh, I think Professor Anabelie is not here. Okay. Let us continue to Miss Sri Okfarina. you can open mic and you can ask directly. Oh, okay. Let us move to Dino Sudana. Dino Sudana, you can open mic and ask directly.
Sisi Om.
Okay. Oh, Sri Okfarina first. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, is this Miss Sri Okfarina?
Yes.
Okay, you may ask directly, please.
Yumi is the national anthem.
My question for Professor Dr. Rohaida. Muhammad Shah. Astagfirullahaladzim. Kok susah banget. Hello.
Yes, you may continue.
In trouble.
We can hear you.
Mana sih, Mang?
We can hear you. You may ask. Just ask. We can hear you clearly. Don't worry.
What if in the current condition there are still many difficulties getting the technology accelerated to signal up and down for student in COVID-19?
Okay. That's all?
Putus ya.
Hello. Or we can move to another participant. From Ratri Kurnianing, or this question is for Prof. Rohaida. There was an issues about assessment of learning by technology like cheating, validity, connectivity, and so on. So how Professor Rohaida recommends, I think, what is your recommendation for future research for these issues like that to Prof. Rohaida?
Okay, boleh dengar ya?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for the question. This is so you're asking about future research on assessment, is it? During for this pandemic? For this during this pandemic, we were advised to not to use like a synchronous kind of assessment. So probably what research can be done is that you can have various mode, and then you can compare, the various mode, whether it's if it's online kind of thing, or like I mentioned just now, we are encouraged to have an alternative assessment rather than giving the exam or quizzes online. Probably we can have some alternative, so it's not a simple what do you call it, a simple the traditional, it's not the traditional kind of assessment, but we should think to use other form of alternative assessment, such as using of portfolios, take-home exams, or something like that. But that also depends on the age of the student, right? So if you want to do research, probably you can have the various mode of assessment, then probably you can compare looking at what construct you are trying to, what are the factors or what construct you are looking at, and you pick up some of those construct and do research on those construct. For example, if you want to see whether, by having alternative assessment will enhance the validity of the exam, for example, for the assessment, for example. So you concentrate on that. That's my my suggestion. But anyway, try to look, try to find other ways of assessment rather than the traditional way of assessment, especially in this pandemic era.
Okay, now we
I
are.
hope I answered the question.
Yes. Yeah, okay, and now I think we can move to Professor Hsin-Hung. Do you have any thought about this? You want to add something?
No, actually, I'm not an expert in such kind of area. So I just think that if other keynote speakers have more specialized opinions, well, I just follow.
Okay.
I just follow them. Yeah.
Okay, okay, Mr. Burhanuddin, you have any thought about this?
Yeah, I think I agree what Mrs. Rohaida stated. Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, okay, so we can continue. The second question from Saifa Akilah. What is an effective way to distribute technology, especially in the field of education in developing countries like Indonesia? I think this question is for all the keynote speakers. Okay, what kind of technology you are suggest for a place like Indonesia, like a developing country like us, Indonesia? Okay, we can start from Associate Professor Burhanuddin.
Okay, thank you very much. As what I shared today on my slide, actually it depends, right? It depends on where this.
Okay, something error occurred. Perhaps you can continue to Professor Hsin-Hung. Any thought?
I think that even though technology is quite important, the core of education is about the heart. It's about the heart of the instructors. So I think that the interactions between instructors and the students are critically important. They can interact directly or face to face, and they also can interact through some kind of technologies such as WhatsApp, or the Line, or the others. As long as the communication is effective, I think the technology is good. And the important thing, as I said earlier, it's all come down to the heart of the instructors. If he or she is willing to do something, is willing to communicate with the students, I think it's more essential than using the technology itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hsin-Hung. So you mean that technology is, perhaps we can use technology like a media. It's not the core of the education, right?
Yes.
It's not the core of education. Okay. Professor Rohaida, any thought about this?
Okay, I think I go along with Prof. Shin. where when we talk about what is important is that whatever we do in education, we must make sure that students are learning, be it technology based or non-technology based. The most important thing, students are learning. So if, let's say, if students are learning without the technology, be it so, okay? But we have to think about technology as a tool that is something that assists us in making our lesson or our teaching effective. The most important thing is the students are learning. So back to the question saying that how do we make sure that technology, how do we disseminate technology use among in developing countries. Even in Malaysia, I think we are quite similar to the Indonesian, where we have some remote areas, right? So what we can do is to look at, as I mentioned, technology as a tool and see what tool is best suited, not necessarily like in the remote area where not necessarily I mean, it doesn't make sense that in a remote area then we want to use drone, for example, or immersive technology where the availability of the tools are not there, and also the readiness of the teachers, I guess they are not ready to use such sophisticated or complex technology. So you can have a mixture. If, let's say, low technology, we can communicate with the students and the students are learning, be it so. Okay, so the most important thing is to see to make sure that the students are learning in whatever technology we are using.
Thank you, Mrs. Rohaida. Professor Anabelie, are you with us now? Hello, Professor Anabelie. Are you with us now? Okay. Let's continue to Miss Miftahul Jannah. Raise hand for asking some question. Okay, please. Mrs. Miftahul Jannah. You may ask now.
Yeah, still with me, Mr. Made?
Okay, yes, I am. Yes, I'm
here. Sorry, we have just connected line here in my office. Yeah, what kind of technology we can use? Yeah, what I said just now. Actually, we have to see also where the student maybe like come from. Whether maybe they stay like around maybe in the city or maybe in remote area, and also whether the school or the university can provide better facility in providing online services. If not, of course, maybe like Anabelie presented before, that we can use maybe like offline models, or maybe like recorded video, or maybe recorded presentation, like what we experience today. For instance, if we have a problem with the connection, sometime when we are presenting, maybe the line is disconnected. That's we will experience the same problem. So it depends, on the situation. And the second issue also, maybe we have to see how about the economic factor, maybe whether the school or maybe the university or maybe the student maybe can afford the facility, with high tech, maybe like computer or maybe laptop or any other high tech technology. I think that's my response. Thanks, Madi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burhanuddin. Okay, another question is for Professor Rohaida. Well, I think this question is related to before, like she's asking what to deal if we have so highly unstable network connection. So I think Professor Rohaida has answered it before, or any more thought, Sis Prof. Rohaida, or just?
Yeah, I think I'll go to what I mentioned. That means we have to, let's say, unstable. If it's unstable connection, so probably we can use multiple channels, as I mentioned in my talk. We can use WhatsApp or any other media together with whatever platform. Or I've seen teachers using just plain WhatsApp, where they send in their
Yes.
PowerPoint slides, right?
Yes.
Point slides, even using the WhatsApp, but the file must not be too big. So you send in the PowerPoint and then you put up some questions related to the PowerPoint slide. Give them time to understand the materials that you sent, and then ask them to answer the questions. And then you can discuss even through WhatsApp, or or probably if you want to give a video call, that will also can be done. There are also some teachers that even gone as far as sending pen drive, to the students' places in remote areas, where they can just plug into their laptop or computers, and see what is available in the thumb drive, and they can do the task given in the thumb drive, and they can send back to the teachers, right? Or some, if even they do not have the laptops, for example, they have to go to the traditional mode, the snail mail, the mail, the post office, is it? The mailing.
The email, yes, email.
I'm sure now I think I'm sure they have a phone now, isn't it? At least a phone, yeah? Okay.
Okay, thank you. And okay, let me move to Akwani. How to integrating character education, character building on online learning in this pandemic area? I think era. Okay. I think the three of you can help to answer it. How to integrating character building on online learning in this pandemic era? Okay, perhaps Professor Hsin-Hung, you have any thought about this?
First of all, I just want to know what kind of characters he or she is concerned.
Perhaps here in Indonesia we have some character building like kindness, and then religionist, like that. Just how to make good people, how to make a child have a good character, like that.
Character like
yes,
that.
Character. Kindness, truthful, loyal.
I just think that probably they can have some tapes sharing the story in their lives, reading a book to share with others. And I think that probably the more interactions they have, the more closely the relationship is going to be. Yeah, that's my answer. Yeah.
Okay. And Associate Professor Burhanuddin, you have any thought about this?
Yeah, I think this is also like typical question we we saw during the pandemic situation where, for instance, like teachers or lecturer have a limited time to face or to see or to meet students. Yeah, we see this issue as the real problem. However, actually, I don't know. Maybe if the situation, like this pandemic situation, maybe continues, maybe unlimited time. Normally, maybe we have to develop a model of teaching learning, maybe by producing like, for instance, like the video to show how, for instance, like leaders behave, how, for instance, like as a kid or as a student, as a successful student when they, for instance, like when they do their assignment or their job or their work, or it means that we can like make teaching learning model maybe through like the model, the picture of maybe a person that's related with the personality of, for instance, of as a good student. For instance, it is like when we try to how to improve or maybe how to deal with the personality. That's the problem maybe. And I found also that one of the weakness of this system, online learning, that's because of there are no maybe direct contact between teachers and students. We of course we have problem how to educate, how to change maybe student personality. That's the problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burhanuddin, and then Professor Rohaida. Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think it is important, but frankly speaking, I know it's not easy to have this character building, doing it online, right? But we have to think out of the box. Okay, probably I would share one of the initiatives that our Ministry of Education have launched. We call it Service Learning Malaysia. In short, we call it SULAM. Okay, SULAM. So this service learning is for making, trying to make not only in the education sector, but for our the programs that for our undergraduates, they have to go through this, and we are preparing our students to become public intellectuals responsible for resolving society issues. So through this activity, through this program, it can be one course by itself or embedded within any course. That means, let's say you have 14 weeks of 14 weeks course, then probably 2 weeks you allocate for this activity. So what the lecturers need to do with their students so that their students become a very responsible citizen when they go, that they have some activities, but they must have very specific learning outcomes for this SULAM under SULAM. So at my faculty, we create a specific course just for SULAM. Okay, so one of the things that they do is they outline the learning outcomes, and they make and they do service learning in various sectors, be it the community, how they transfer the knowledge of what they learn in the higher learning to the community. Okay, So with this pandemic, where we cannot go to the society, okay, what has been done, they call it e-sulam, okay, e-sulam. So one of the things that the innovative things that they do, it has to be like, the students. One of the project, the students will do around their neighboring areas, for example. Looking at let's say even their own family, their extended family, what need to be done with their family, and they have to videotape what they do with their extended family, and then based on this video, they send it to their lecturers, and this will be graded, okay, something like that, okay. So that's one way that I can think of, that through this online, the remote teaching and learning, how we can still build their character. Thank you.
Thank you, Sis Rohaida. Okay, let's us move to next question. Is from Mardiana. Hello, Miss Mardiana. Miss Mardiana N. You may ask directly. Miss Mardiana, are you there? Okay, let's us move now to Eka Dian Novitasari. You raise your hand and please, you may ask now. Eka Dian Novitasari. Eka Dian Novitasari, you may ask now. Okay, no answer. The last is Anissa Mega. Anissa Mega, please take your time. You may ask your question. Anissa Mega. No answer too? Okay. Now we can move to which one this? Andriani P. Nali. It's from Andriani P. Nali. I would like to ask a question to Mrs. Rohaida. What can we do to observe our subject while doing qualitative research through technology?
Okay, that means observation.
Yes.
Doing observation using technology.
Yes.
Okay.
Qualitative research through technology. Okay.
Okay. Well, that is the move that we need to go to, right? Even in qualitative, actually, we are talking about that we have to be on site, because the qualitative research is trying to understand the phenomena, and we have to be on site. But with this pandemic, and also there are even at my ministry now, our Ministry of Education now, they do not allow our researcher to be in the class to observe. So what we can do is that probably we can ask whoever in the class, probably you can ask the teacher to videotape the whole setting, and then give you the recording, and then you watch the recording, and you can do your you can transcribe that recording and do your analysis. That's one way. Or probably you can right after the teacher, whoever you want to observe, but you are not able to be there, but what you need to do is right after her teaching, if that's the thing that you are going to observe, you can immediately after the teacher has done his or her teaching, you try to have a face-to-face interview, what you want to tease out based on your research, based on research, what you want to tease out. you can ask the teacher that who is your participant to really describe what really happened in the classroom, and do your and take down the notes, and then from there you do your data analysis. That's my suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Rohaida. Any thought from another speakers? Okay, if not, then we can continue. From Anjar Prabowo. Oh, another question to Professor Dr. Rohaida. You are the stars now. What's your recommendation to accelerate both teachers and students' readiness towards technology-based education? As we know, teacher and students born and grow in different generations, and its affect both characteristic and paradigm. How educational technology may facilitate it.
Okay, thank you for the question. I'm not worried about the students.
Yes, we are. We are not worried.
Because students will pick up very fast. Looking at my grandchildren, I have 6 of them. They grew up, they grow up with the technology, so they will pick up. Don't worry. But for the teachers, it's rather depending on their perception about the use of technologies. So probably what you can suggest to the teachers, how do you encourage, is that probably you can share some success story of what technology can do, and also give some motivation and encouragement, by let's say, like in my university, we using technology is part and parcel of our KPI, in fact. So this is let's say, if you manage, because our LMS will capture how many % of blended learning you have done, and then it will give a report that saying that you have done a blended learning successfully, and that and you can achieve your KPI. Okay, but I'm not too much favor of such thing, but that's the way it is done. I guess this can be done initially, but once it is within our culture that we use technology, do away with all these KPI or rewards, I would say. But to me, sharing the success of the use of technology and making them understand what technology can do to make learning is fun, making learning is more comprehensible to their students. I guess that means making them realize the importance of the use of technology. But again, I would like to reiterate that technology is not the answer for everything, right? Technology is just a tool.
Yes.
In helping teachers, to assist them in making teaching more meaningful.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Rohaida. And then we can continue to next question is, this is for, I think this is better for Mr. Burhanuddin. For Mr. Burhanuddin, what is meant by university responsibility and how it's implemented in Indonesia?
Okay. University responsibility. Okay, thank you very much for the question. In my research, actually, this variable is measured related with the indicators, including, for instance, like how the lecturer professionally prepare and design the learning model. And the second is also how the university people, especially the executive of the university, to provide the facility and also professional assistant or staff assistant, especially that have better skills in managing the online services, for instance, and also in dealing with the connection. Yeah. So this is the responsibility of the university or the school to provide all the technical assistance. That is. Maybe it's clear. Maybe for my response. Maybe.
Okay, thank you. And I think Professor Anabelie also answered it in the Q&A tab. Where is it? Wait, let me search it for you. Nah, this one. This is a answer from Anabelie. Developing countries, Philippines, and especially in my island of Mindanao. In our case, our university used Google Classroom and other LMS, using blended and flexible approach. We also usually use asynchronous approach as compared to synchronous due to our problem in the internet connectivity. So she answered that she often to use asynchronous due to network connectivity issue. Thank you, Mrs. Anabelie. Another question is Elvi Rahmi Tamrin. From Elvi Rahmi Tamrin, you can ask now. Elvi Rahmi Tamrin. Can someone unmute Elvi Rahmi Tamrin? Unmute the microphone. Okay. No. Elvi Rahmi Tamrin.
Sampun, Mas.
Okay. Miss Sri Okfarina. Hello. Either Mrs. Sri Okfarina or Elvi Rahmi Tamrin.
Elvi Rahmi Tamrin sini.
Okay, Miss Tamrin.
Elvi.
You may ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Miss Tamrin.
Apa?
Elvi Rahmi Tamrin. Yes, you may ask.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, you may ask.
Oh, just a moment.
Okay.
Just a moment. Mana pilihannya kan? Akunya kameranya mana? Ada ini.
Are you there? Okay. Disconnected.
Oh. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you may ask.
Aduh, tadi nggak dengar.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Please continue. Please continue, Mrs. Tamrin.
Pardon. I'm so sorry, I didn't catch before that.
Okay, you may continue. You may ask now.
Oh, no. I didn't ask anything just now. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I just I suppose that to prove that I am present.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. That's fine. Okay, now we are moved to Mrs. Sri Okfarina. Mrs. Sri Okfarina. You have something to tell for us? Unmute. Mrs. Sri Okfarina. No answer? Okay, we can move to Mrs. Lenny Gunadi. Mrs. Lenny. Mrs. Lenny, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Yep. You may ask.
Sorry, unconnection. Okay. Are you hearing me?
Yep.
Oh my God, my background. uh, sorry. Maybe I just close my video. It's okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Oh my God. I think it's just raise hand, but it's okay. Okay, maybe I would have a question to all of the keynote speaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much for the time for me. And then my question is, how about we are now the technology is important for education. Yeah. But I would like how the keynote speaker about the perception about the risk the technology for the student, especially for the preschool student, and then for early year a student like that, because during the pandemic, all of the education with online, and we just no prepare for the protect our student, maybe to the time using the gadget like that. Maybe like that's my question, and thank you so much for the answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Lenny Gunadi. Okay, this question is for the all keynote speakers, and is there any risk or perhaps side effect from the use of technology for preschool and early year students?
Preschool.
Yeah. Okay, let us start from Professor Hsin-Hung. You have any thoughts about it?
Yes, speaking. Actually, there are two types of persons having totally different opinions about it. One said that you can use technology as a tool for preschool students to access the learning material as convenient as possible, such that they can learn more, and they can learn different type of things for the rest of the world. However, the other part said that for the preschool students, probably they just don't need to use a lot of technologies, because if they use lots of technologies, probably they are going to be impatient with human beings. If they try to use technology for years to come, then probably they just talk to the machine. They are not going to have enough interaction with human beings. And actually, I don't have a particular preference for that. But if I need to pick up one side of that, probably I'm going to say that for preschool students, we just need to limit it. We just need to limit the use of technologies. Yeah, that's my answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Professor. And then we can move to Associate Professor Burhanuddin. Any thought about this?
Okay, I try. Again, we have to find the design, yeah, special for preschool or for early years, yeah, students. Yeah. Of course, this is also the challenge for the teachers and also for the university, for instance, how to prepare or how to, for instance, to help the society to find the teaching learning models that appropriate for the students. Yeah, because what we learn that students from like primary school or maybe from below this level, like early or kindergarten school, for instance, they have, of course, different experience and also different capacity compared with the higher school, higher level, yeah, students. Yeah, that's challenge the teachers, and we are, as the researcher or maybe as the academician at university level, has responsibility to help or to solve this issue. Yeah, we try to find the model that maybe can be applied or implemented effectively at the lower school levels. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Professor Rohaida, any thought about this?
Okay, probably I just need to mention that in any of our intervention, be it the use of technology, there definitely will be pros and cons, right? And I think Prof. Shin has also mentioned about there must be strike a balance between the use of technology among young children, because sometimes too much of technology exposure do impose some threats towards children. But when the Dr. Lenny mentioned about risk, to me it brings me probably what you meant is probably making our children vulnerable to scenarios such as the videophilic cases. Are you afraid? Are you referring to that?
Yes,
Where
like that's like the health risk.
yes, because
Maybe about eyes, they
once
have
the children
eyes. Mhm.
once the children are online, there are this maniac, I would say, this
Yeah.
maniac will see who are their apa jadi mangsa lah kan, their predator.
Yeah.
Predator, right? So what we need to do is really be careful, especially the parents need to really monitor what's going on there, what's going on during the online classes, to make sure that there's no one is having what do you call it, have an eye on our children and probably contact our children later. So we have to be careful, because I still remember in one of our conferences we have at the end of during the conference we call primary school children or elementary school children just to have a performance or doing, if I'm not mistaken, doing choral speaking. Okay, so one of the audience put up on the YouTube and share with the public. So the parents were very angry and complained to us that they're saying that it shouldn't be the way, and they are afraid that by exposing their children to such platform, they become the target of this pedophilic maniac, I would say. So parents do need to play an important role in making sure that their children will not be the target of such incidents.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
agree. Okay, thank you.
Perhaps Professor Anabelie, you have any thought about this? You are here with us, right? Professor Anabelie, any comment?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, my idea about this issue is that we have to use our technology wisely, and we have to select what appropriate technology should be used for different kinds of learners. So, in the case of our situation here in the Philippines, particularly in Mindanao, so our basic education usually use printed materials such as modules, workbooks, and other what we call this learning worksheets for the students to be answered and studied at home. Then, in the use of technology, the teachers usually have a pre-recorded lesson video,
Mm-hmm.
which will be also sent to the children, no, particularly in the elementary level. So we really do a lot of effort instead of conducting a class in a specific time. Our class here is already 24/7. So for the communication as well, we added with the parents and the students in the chat group in every subject so that we
Mm-hmm.
can monitor the activity and the progress of the students. So that is why, as I said, the class is already 24/7. So because of the very unstable internet connection that we have, so majority of us, even in our college, we use asynchronous, and we have a video recorded discussions. So that the delivery of the instruction will not be hampered due to unstable internet connectivity. So very
Okay. Disconnected. Okay. We can move on to the next question. Is from Juharyanto. This is a long thought, but I can make a resume. Is what is the teacher's specific abilities need to develop in getting along with the technology? Is there any specific abilities need to develop for the teachers in getting along with technology? This question is for all presenters. Okay, Mr. Burhanuddin, you may answer.
Can you repeat again, maybe the question?
Is there any specific abilities needs to develop for the teacher in using this technology?
Okay, yeah. Again, this is also what we call like the real problem we see or find at any school. Yeah. Even maybe in our university environment, maybe not. Of course, we will experience that not all lecturer or maybe the teachers at the school have maybe similar capacity, especially in doing with high-tech product. Even maybe like if we just use, for example, like this mobile, yeah. Maybe some maybe student or some maybe people cannot they can do anything with this this mobile, yeah, or this handphone. Yeah. That's the problem. But for people who have talent and also have IT talent capacity, they will use this easily. Yeah, even maybe they use with many purpose or with various what we call like technology they can use even with this small product. Right? That's the problem. What we have to do as, for example, like the principal or maybe as the school leader, we have, of course, to help this student. Especially for, not only the student, but also the teachers. That's why good school usually must have special assistants, IT assistant. However, teachers also must be always trained, especially for the young teachers. They have to learn continuously how to deal with the high-tech product. Of course. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you. We can continue to Professor Hsin-Hung.
Yes, speaking.
Yep.
And I think that teachers should be open-minded, because as a teacher, you just need to learn different type of things and the technologies every day. So I just think that if a teacher can be open-minded and tries to learn everything, I think it's gonna be fine. That's my answer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We can continue to Professor Rohaida.
Okay. My take is that I don't think skills. I would relate it to attitudes. Okay, if you have good attitudes, you are willing to learn whatever. Okay, so we need to change their mindset, like what Professor Shin mentioned. If they are they are open-minded, willing to learn, and I think they can pick up anything, right? Because especially now you have lots of things you want to learn through online webinars, online workshops, even from YouTube. So you just Google and you can have all those tutorials available. So to me, it's a lifelong learning. So we have to instill that kind of spirit among our teachers, to have lifelong learning and to hunger for knowledge all the time.
Okay, thank you. I would like to check whether Professor Anabelie is back with us now. Why not? We can continue to move the next for the next question. Okay. A question from Ferdinand Alexander. Okay, please. Ferdinand Alexander, you may ask your question now. Unmute. Ferdinand Alexander. Somebody?
Maybe.
Hello? Ferdinand Alexander, still muted. Ferdinand Alexander. Hello. Ferdinand Alexander. Is it a Mr. or Mrs.? Mr. Ferdinand Alexander, you may ask your question. Oh, Sri. Mrs. Sri Okfarina. Mrs. Sri Okfarina. Okay, you may ask now.
What innovation technology are actually more attractive to students, with some models or methods who have been researched and have become very precise now, so as not to cause bored.
Okay, can you repeat it? Please, can you repeat it?
Okay. What innovation technology are actually more attractive to students, with some models or methods who have been researched and have become very precise now, so as not to cast bird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, Mr. Burhanuddin.
Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay, Mas Madi.
Okay.
Mr. Madi.
Yes.
Because this is I get also from the message for all the panelists and to me.
Yes. Okay.
But actually, I responded already by chatting. Yeah. Maybe the question is related to like how we provide student with like interesting, innovative product.
Correct.
Like video or maybe movie. Yeah. For young student, maybe it's very necessary, especially for instance, like if we can also find cartoon, cartoon or the movie for especially for early years, student, like primary school or maybe like kindergarten or we have also playgroup, for playgroup student. Of course, we need special media, for this student, That's again also the challenge on also extra job, for the teachers, and teachers actually no need to do alone, We can, for instance, work together with specialists from media, like our school here in at the State University of Malang, or maybe in other university like the University of Malaya, maybe in Kuala Lumpur. Of course, we have special department here or special unit dealing with, for instance, with production, with learning design, production. At the School of Education, we have here the curriculum department, and technology, Or in Indonesia we call it jurusan kurikulum dan teknologi.
Okay.
Kurikulum dan teknologi pendidikan. This unit or this department maybe can help us or student how to produce, right? Online media,
No.
or maybe like design or maybe learning design or teaching learning design for the young student, that we have to prepare. Otherwise, maybe the student will not be interested to attend the class or to join the online courses. Of course, I agree with this. So when your question is what kind of the innovative, high tech or maybe online, teaching model, that's depend on what class or what year or what level we have to teach. For the young teachers, for the young students, of course, we need to adjust our design or our approach. So similar with the offline, or with the conventional learning system. We when we work with the young student, we usually need to find like or to use playing, you see, playing the model, where the student and the teachers or maybe the classroom, they can, for instance, like enjoy the courses or maybe the session through playing, or through doing and playing, That's of course we can do this by maybe using high-tech facility.
Yes.
Again, of course, teachers can maybe use or maybe invite, the other professional or maybe specialists in producing. Thank you very much, Made.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for Mr. Burhanuddin. And then any thought from Professor Dr. Rohaida?
Okay, I think I will agree to Associate Professor Burhanuddin. I think students like something that is interactive, fun, and engaging, right? So we have to look at those aspects, and let's say if they like to have it in a game form, then we need to embed game. But on word of caution is that sometimes it depends on what is the the objective of the lesson. I mean, if let's say if the objective is achievable in a without the use of technology, be it. But here we are trying to make the students to be interested in the lesson, right? So you have to weigh whether is it worth going through the very let's say if to have games, for example, it's not that simple. It takes effort, right? You have to do a lot of preparation and so forth. But if it's worth it, go ahead. I would encourage. I mean, it's good to be doing that. But if it's like let's say you say that it's only sometimes students just interested in the game. At the end of it, they do not know what they are learning. What is the objective of the lesson of the day? When we ask back to the students, they only remember the game but not the content. So you have to be careful. Okay, this has been in literature. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Rohaida. Yes, just remember not to make them to remember the game. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can move on to Professor Hsin-Hung. Any thought about this?
Actually, I'm not quite familiar with the topic here, so I just have no further comments, and I totally agree with two keynote speakers' comments. Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. For the last, perhaps Professor Anabelie, are you back with us now?
Professor.
Okay. No answer.
Okay, so
yes. Yeah, please
yeah,
continue.
I'm here. Okay, so for me, there are really a lot of activities which can be given to the students interactively. So as I wrote in the chat area, I introduced a game and with quest. Then I also agree with the other keynote speaker that there should be a congruency between the objective of the lesson and the assessment, because we cannot really evaluate the students' progress if there is no congruency between the two. Then the second one is that we have to indicate our learning plan so that we are very well guided. So in my case, personally, since I cannot really monitor if I give an objective assessment to the students, so I usually give a performance task. So like for example, I let them make a blog about the lesson of what they have learned, a video presentation, so that they will also become very interactive. And I know that these millennials are very fun with using the social media. So based on my experience, I give 1 week for my first lesson, then less than a week, the deadline, they really submit their task on time and ahead of time because they're really fan of making videos and blogs. So it will depend upon the level of the learner. It will also depend upon the capabilities of the teachers, as well as the learning environment wherein the students and the teachers belong. So I think there is really no fixed assessment that really measure the progress of the learners, because the learners have different learning style and they have also different pace and ability. So for the teachers, as said by Sir Wo lately, that it is in the heart of the teacher. So if we are really what we call this very resourceful teacher, so we have to design multiple activities, varied assessment in order to meet the different needs and the different learning abilities of our students. So I think that is very important for us as educators. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Anabelie. Yes, I think that's a great thought from our speakers. There is no such a thing that 100% fixed for teach something or someone or everywhere. I think we need to be wise to choose. Yes, we need to be wise to choose what, when, how to make things works. Just don't be so strict in anything. Okay, sadly, I think that is the last session of this discussion panel. That is the end of this event. Let me say once again to thank you for all 4 keynote speakers, and also thank you for all the audience to your participation, and hopefully the things that we have had today will be useful for all of us and answer all the problems you might have. Thank you for your attention and good day everyone. And now I'm giving back this to Miss Kiki.
Thank you, Mr. Made Dwananda Kartika Degeng, for moderating this magnificent keynote speech session. Hopefully, this conference give us inspiration and develop us capabilities as academia, researchers, entrepreneurs, practitioners, and decision makers who are responsible in educational area. Every journey has its end, and every path does stop somewhere. With that, we bid a very good afternoon to everyone present. Now, we are in the end of this session. We are pleased to invite the Dean of Faculty of Education, Professor Dr. Bambang Budi Wiono, M.Pd, to deliver his closing address.
Okay, thank you very much for the moderators. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Rector Universitas Negeri Malang, the Honorable Vice Deans, Head of Department, and all officers in the Universitas Negeri Malang, the Honorable, all of the keynote speakers from several countries, Honorable, all of the lecturer and distinguished guests and all the participants. First of all, we thank very much keynote speaker, Ibu Profesor Dr. Rohaida Mohd Saat, Profesor Hsin-Hung, Ph.D., Profesor Anabelie Valdez, Ph.D., and Associate Professor Burhanuddin, Ph.D., for the presentations of the papers and convey a lot of brilliant ideas related to the theme of the conference, the panel discussions, and all the audience who participate up to now patiently and actively. Today, we are conducting the International Conference on Education and Technology with theme Technology-Based Education for Next Generations. This conference is a continuing program organized by the Faculty of Education Universitas Negeri Malang. The purpose of this conference is to share our ideas about education for next generations. In particular, this conference is designed to support educators and students who are now in front line of education sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. The keynote speaker just presented many ideas about this matter, which have become an inspiration for us to solve various educational problems, implement the education well, and develop a better education next. This conference also facilitates the lecturers, students, principals, teachers, researchers, practitioners, or all who attention to education to express and share their ideas through writing and presenting article of the conference about education related to technology development. The conference is supported by IEEE Indonesian sections. For this conference, many articles have been sent to the committee, but only a little of the articles are selected and published in proceeding of this conference, indexed by Scopus and Clarifex. The parallel conference will be held by authors of the papers this afternoon. We representing Faculty of Education Universitas Negeri Malang appreciate all the audience and participants, especially the keynote speaker, Ibu Profesor Dr. Rohaida Mohd Saat from University of Malaya, Malaysia, Professor Hsin-Hung, Ph.D. from National Changhua University of Education, Taiwan, Professor Anabelie Valdez, Ph.D. from Mindanao State University, Philippines, and Associate Professor Burhanuddin, Ph.D. from Universitas Negeri Malang, Indonesia, that support this conference. We all appreciate the chairman of the event, the committee, and the crews, and the official at Universitas Negeri Malang, especially at the Faculty of Education, and all the rest that I cannot mention one by one, who highly participate in the conference. Well, from the conference, we hope all you very enjoy. We hope this conference is useful for all, especially to solve the problem, develop education system, to improve quality of education, especially for the next generations. That all our program for this time. Please give us apologize when we have mistakes. And thank you very much for your attentions. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Bambang Budiwiono, M.Pd. Before I end this conference, we have a photo session first. Please turn on your camera and then give us your best smile. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Okay, again. Another one. Okay, don't forget, show your teeth to us. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Cheers. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached conclusion of our conference. Before I end this conference, I would like to inform you two following matters. Break time is until 1 p.m. Please join the link for parallel session in 12:15 p.m. and parallel session will be start at 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. Thank you. See you on the next conference. Stay healthy and be happy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye.